Bit of a different tone on this one as the Kansas City Royals fall to the New York Yankees 3-2 in Game 3 of the ALDS. We're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, and what needs to go better in Game 4 if the Royals are going to come back in this series.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Back like we never left. Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield, Nick Springer doing one heck of a job behind the scenes. A live edition of the One World Away podcast here on KC Sports Network, brought to you by our good friends at Emprise Bank, our partners in possible, member FDIC. The comments are out, and people are not completely thrilled, obviously, with the outcome, as the Royals do drop it 3-2 to New York. Joel, you're live from the K. Kind of first initial thoughts on the game and kind of your experience on Wednesday night.
I mean, it was an incredible experience getting to come here and do this and be a media member and, be able to throw that hat on for a few hours and, go in the media room and do the interviews. I stood on the field for BP and watched, all of those guys. And I've done it before, but just for a playoff game, it just felt different. Obviously, it was a dream come true type of thing. I can put it up there, if you exclude, the day I got married and my two children being born, like one of the coolest days of my life to get to come and do this. So very grateful. Wish the result was better, but on to tomorrow, just like the team, mentality, and we'll see where they're at with Game 4.
Yep, absolutely. So again, 3-2. It was a close one, and that's, I think, going to be a theme of this podcast.
That's the story of the playoffs.
Yes, exactly, and that's the margin for error that these teams have, and I think that that'll kind of be another point that we peel back here as it goes. It's a game of inches, and it's a game of, one thing goes your way, one thing doesn't, and sometimes it's umpire calls, sometimes it's the strike zone, sometimes it's replay. Occasionally, it's just one player catching fire and leading your team to a win over a somewhat anemic offense. And I think that multiple things can be true, at least my thought right off the bat. Yes, the Royals need to stop walking people. And yes, they didn't get exactly what they wanted from Seth Lugo, despite the 5 innings of ball that he threw. But you only scored 2 runs, and that's not going to cut it. So, I mean, people can say all they want. The pitching needs to be better. Yes, it absolutely does. Giving up 3 to the Yankees, I don't think there's a crap ton of shame in that. But on the flip side, the offense averaged like 4.5 runs per game and was 13th in baseball in the regular season. They have their guys mostly healthy and back on the field. They have the veteran additions that we've been praising quite a bit over the past few weeks and even a month, dating back to when Pasquantino first got hurt, and they're not getting what they need. And they only scored 2. So this one kind of had Game 1 vibes, where I think you can't afford to drop these, and you can only say that so many times in a best of 5. But man, this one I think is gonna sting, and luckily for them, I think the bright side is they don't have much time to let it sting before they have to bounce back tomorrow.
Yeah, being able to come back tomorrow and not let the off day kind of fester, maybe that makes a little bit of a difference. They're able to just get back out, to their home ballpark and kind of have that routine that they had all year. When they played so well in this ballpark throughout the season. But yeah, I mean, it's the margin for error that you just don't have in the playoffs. The walks, they kind of bit Lugo a little bit. They really didn't bite anybody else, despite the high walk number. We saw the runners in scoring position stuff kind of crop back up. Massey and Isbell, obviously, with huge hits. Which was awesome to see. But, Yuli comes up in a big spot in the 8th where you feel like that, is kind of the game with the bottom of the order coming up in the 9th against Luke Weaver, who has been really solid for the Yankees for a decent stretch now. And he didn't come through. It's fly ball to Judge. And that basically that kind of ended the game for me, to be honest. Like, I was like, okay, that was their chance. Bobby gets on with a hit. Salvi gets on. But that's it. I've seen some people bring up why Bobby didn't steal in the 8th inning. And to me, I think if the game was tied, I would have probably been more inclined to let Bobby steal in that situation. But down a run, I'm not going to – I don't want to run myself out of an inning with the middle of the order up.
Sure.
And risk that being the – it's just a situation where I just don't want to risk running myself out of an inning. Like, I don't want Bobby to have a great jump and a great steal, and everything be right, and Wells make a great throw, tag him on the leg, and that ends the inning. Like, you can't afford that. And Bobby did a great job going first to third on the Salvi hit. So he was still able to get the extra base in a situation where not many guys are able to, and Yuli just didn't come through. So, it is what it is. There were many other situations where the Royals could have come through, and they didn't. You guys to shorten up and be aggressive. I mean, sure, but this dude's throwing 97 with ride. Like, it's not that simple. I understand that people want to harken back to, choke up and drive it the other way. Like, if it were that easy, everybody would freaking do it, man. Like, it's just not that
They
simple.
should have been doing that a lot earlier if it was, on command.
Right. Yeah. And I think the Royals will still have a chance tomorrow. Like, the thing about this team is that you can't kill them. Like, they are a cockroach. Dude, people have tried to write them off so many times throughout the season and in so many different areas that this team isn't good. This team isn't going to make it. They're going to fall off. When are they going to fall off? And they just don't. It would not shock me to go out tomorrow against Garrett Cole and find a way to win a ball game and get it back to New York for a game 5. Now, whether they win that game 5 in New York is a different story, but I wouldn't be shocked if they come out tomorrow and find a way. But I'm not going to lose faith. I mean, this team gives me no reason to, despite some of the struggles down the stretch of the year. The fact that they made it this far in the playoffs and have been this competitive with a 94-win Yankee team that not many people gave the Royals a chance in this series at all. And it's been uber competitive. The run differential is 0 in the series. 2 one-run losses for the Royals and a 2-run win. It's about as even as you can get. So I'd imagine it's going to be a close, sweaty game tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. Walker goes back to the mound, and we'll see where we go.
Yeah, and a good comment here from David Reed in the live chat. I started that because I wanted to get back to it. Guys, like, subscribe, drop comments, and all that good stuff. If you are so inclined to jump in the conversation, the Yankees have played even with the Royals. They've squeaked by in the 2 wins. Like, I expected coming into the series, the Royals to not win the series just because I was like, the Yankees are a better team, but also I thought they'd have an offensive explosion game where the Royals get completely run out of one. And that just hasn't really happened. Like, they've been pretty close endeavors for both sides and pretty competitive. So they've hung in there. They're close. They're playing just close to win. Like, I mean, that's the word for it. It literally
they're
is.
right there. And this one's, I think it stings worse than game 1 just because it was a home game too.
Yeah. This was a huge momentum game.
Yes, and Kyle in the chat as well, we're not outman, not executing. I think that is some of the playoff inexperience. Obviously, there is playoff experience on this roster. That's why they brought in the free agents they did. But when you look at a lot of the key contributors, Bobby has not played in these situations. Michael Massey has not. Vinny Pasquantino has not. A lot of the pitchers have not in pretty much any of these scenarios. So this is what you want. These are the types of things you have to go through as a team to build for the future. Like, sometimes it is taking some of these losses so you know what to expect, so that moving forward, you don't let it happen to you again. And that's sometimes them's the breaks, and teams are just a slightly better. The Yankees were 1 swing better tonight than the Kansas City Royals, but sometimes that's what it takes. And in these situations, and I've seen a lot of people talk about, like, you can't single yourself to a lot of wins, and that's true. The Royals, I think, of their 16 or 17 hits in the playoffs, I think 12 of them have been singles, and you're just not going to win a lot of ball games like that. And then you have a Giancarlo Stanton who comes up in the 8th inning against Chris Bubich and hits the homer. And those home run swings matter a lot. It mattered a lot in game 2 for Kansas City, and in game 1, MJ hit a home run too. Salvador Perez's home run is what kind of got things going, got the offense rolling in that 4th inning off of Carlos Rodon. You have to be able to find those types of at-bats, and they just haven't. And they haven't been able to do it with any sort of consistency. And if they are hitting the ball in the air, it's usually a pop-up. And then, of course, some of the line drives they're hitting to the outfield are getting caught. Like, there is a certain amount of batted ball luck that has not been in the Royals' favor, which is kind of the unfortunate side of baseball. When you hit the ball hard and do the right thing and hit a line drive, try at somebody. MJ had a great at-bat tonight. Worked to count, hits a liner right at Judge. And I was like, okay, it's just not their night. Now they ended up getting Isbell and Massey to come up later in the inning, and they end up tying the game. But it's like, God dog it, if that MJ hit gets in the gap, like who knows where we go. But again, them's the breaks. It was a tough night, and we'll see how this team responds and regroups tomorrow. They've done a great job of regrouping after tough losses. We saw it in game 1 to be able to regroup, come back, and win game 2. Maybe they'll be able to do the same. I wouldn't be shocked if they were, and being at home and going back to your own bed and having, your family right there with you for a lot of these guys. And then you get up in the morning, come back to your home ballpark. Maybe that's what makes the difference.
Quickly before we break, how big of a luxury, or I guess we know how big it is, but like how insane of a luxury is it to have when Aaron Judge is not really doing anything? Juan Soto can pick you up, and Giancarlo Stanton has a 346 lifetime ISO.
He's an incredible
season and a
performer.
141.
Like Yankees fans,
he's a riser, and he's already good.
And, like Yankees fans crap on him all the time.
Good player
because he hits 210 and punches out a whole lot and swings the pitches in the other batter's box for 80% of the year. But the dude, when the lights are brightest, he comes through, and we saw that tonight. And it wasn't even a bad pitch by Chris Bubich. He just dropped the head on it and crushed it. I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah, Aaron Judge, it's interesting. Another 0 for 5, 0 for 4 with a walk. Hit a couple balls that Bob Costas tried to will over the wall when they were 20 feet short. But hasn't done anything in this series. It's not even a situation where the Royals aren't pitching to him. They are. Mm-hmm. And he's just not doing it. Like, he has an infield knock, and that's it in the series. And if you told me coming into the series that Judge would be 1 for the series and that one hit would be an infield single, I'd be like, Royals swept him, right?
Yeah.
Baseball's not that easy, man. It's just not.
Yep, it's a tough sport. Seth Lugo, I think his box score can kind of be interpreted a few different ways. I do want to touch on that start that he had on Wednesday, but first, let's take a quick break.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com. Whenever I discover something new, the first thing I want to do is share it with my friends. Whether it's a new binge-worthy show or a song that I can't stop listening to, the best part is sharing it with others. And that's kind of what it feels like when I discovered that Mint Mobile offers premium wireless service for just $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. It's such an awesome deal, there's no way I could keep it to myself. Because friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. So you can say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plan and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your friends with premium wireless service for just $15 a month. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan, bring your own phone number, and all of your existing contacts. So ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. That's mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/KCSN1RW. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
Jordan Foote, Joel Penfield, Nick Springer behind the scenes doing one heck of a job. It is a new one Royal away following a 3-2 loss from Kansas City in Game 3 of the ALDS. If you want to jump in the conversation, you can do so if you're watching live on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, drop a comment in the live chat. If you're on Apple, Spotify, hit the subscribe there. Give us a rating and review. If you want to join the convo another way, you can do so on the Mint Mobile hotline. Here at KCSN, the number is 913-407-6524. Again, 913-407-6524. Lots of good opportunities there. Lots of good opportunities in Wednesday night's game, Joel. Seth Lugo jumped out to a hot start. He needed 7 pitches in the opening inning. Soto was a few feet short of a home run. That's a home run in like 17 out of 30 ballparks. Part of the reason you love Kauffman Stadium.
And Bobby's in the first inning was a home run in like 10 as well. It's funny how it works.
And then in the second inning, needed 9 pitches. He was up to 16 through 2. Got a couple ground outs and a strikeout. The third inning, though, was where things picked up because he issued the 1-out walk to Cabrera, back-to-back full counts. And that was a theme, dude. Full counts all freaking night for the Royals, and it increases leverage and all that.
Yeah, they were working him all night. It felt like a carbon copy of his start in Baltimore, almost to a T. Now he gets through the fifth where he did not against the Orioles, but comes out hot. I mean, he was dominant first time through the order. Gets in some trouble in the third and fourth, but kind of works around it. Only gives up a run or two. Like, you feel pretty good. And the fit, it just got away from him. It's almost the exact same thing. And tonight was even worse because in the start in Baltimore, even when he missed, it was like around the zone, right? Like, it wasn't crazy.
Yeah.
The misses tonight from him
were bad.
Drastic. I mean, he was all over the place, and it didn't matter. Fastball, sinker, changeup, slider, like everything was spraying all over the place, and it's just non-competitive.
He threw 41 balls on 87 pitches, man. Like, it was bad.
It was really, really bad. And it wasn't bad early on, but that the third inning was kind of the canary in the coal mine of the 3-ball counts, getting ahead and then not being able to put guys away or not be able to get back in the zone, and get a ground ball when you need to, which is something he was so good at this year. He had the 13th lowest walk rate in Major League Baseball this year, and walked 4 guys, only struck out 2. It just wasn't good enough for what the Royals needed from him tonight. And I didn't expect him to go more than 5, given the relative rest the bullpen was able to get and kind of the order that they've established. They didn't need him to go more than 5, but to get 5 the way he did, it was kind of choppy, and it just kind of set the scene for the rest of the day. I thought Zerpa was really good in his 2/3. He gave up a hit, but I thought he pitched really, really well, and he continues to impress me with what I think he can be moving forward. I talked to a buddy that he feels very much like he's got some like Kelvin Herrera type upside. And by the way, Andrew, I'm not down. I'm just trying to be relatively quiet in the press box. That's all it is. I'm not. I'm just trying to keep my voice down a little bit. My voice, I have the tendency to project and
it's fired up.
Yeah. Well, just my voice is just naturally loud, so I'm trying to like quiet myself down. That's all it is. Schreiber comes in after that, and he was fine. He issued the walk, but I thought the stuff again was really good. Sam Long was fine. Brady Singer comes in, biggest at bat of the game, and gets Aaron Judge on a strikeout. Now, I know the Yankee fan wouldn't want to complain, but I'm not going to listen to it because they've gotten so many calls go their way in the series. I'm not gonna let them talk about that one. They got Judge. Judge swung at that, and then Bubic. I know people have said like, well, why not go to Daniel Lynch in that situation or let Brady Singer go out in that inning? Chris Bubic has been so good for this team that it's not like Daniel Lynch is almost like a break glass in case of emergency sort of guy. And Bubic has been so good in the postseason and down the stretch for this team in the 8th inning that it's like, I have no reason to believe he can't come through. And he got by one of the best power hitters that we've seen in the last 25, 30 years.
It happens.
Yeah. And I know that people, and I thought about maybe Singer coming back out for the 8th, but then I saw it was going to be Wells, Stanton, Jazz, left, right, left. And lefties have notoriously killed Brady Singer. And I didn't want to risk traffic for Bubic, or you have to pull the ripcord and go to Ursig in the 8th, and he has to get another 5 outs. Like, I didn't see that as feasible, given the workload that Lucas Ursig has had in the postseason. Multiple, 5 outs or 4 outs, or even 2 innings, which he did in game 1. And then Michael Lorenzen did a job in the 9th, but 9 walks, 5 strikeouts is not going to get it done. And like I said, the walks didn't bite them. They only gave up 3 runs. The go ahead, the home run didn't come with a runner on base, but it just, the margin for error is too thin, and it's even thinner now that you lose and you're home for the rest of the season to walk 9 guys in this situation. Yes. Completely. And sometimes like stuff like that happens, right? And most of the time it's inconsequential because it's a game in the middle of July and it's just like, okay, figure it out tomorrow. But it did feel like a heart-sinking type of moment for everybody when Stanton hit that ball. But Chris Bubic has been so good, I had no reason to believe that he couldn't get through that. And he's better against righties than lefties. That's why Oswaldo Cabrera, who's a switch hitter, stayed against Bubic, because the numbers bear that out. The lefties actually hit Chris Bubic better.
So what jumped out to me was, and I want to touch on the lineup here in a while, and there's a certain part of the lineup that I want to talk about. But every time they gave up a run, it didn't completely snowball. Stanton had the double, Jazz grounds out. They get the bases loaded. They have a sac fly. They don't get anything else. Stanton hits the home run in the
That
eighth
felt like a
inning.
huge moment where they only gave up one. And I think that was that fifth inning.
Yeah, and Bubic even
getting
had
out of
to,
that felt like a mini Houdini act. Like if they huge.
Bubic had to dance around back-to-back walks after Stanton gave up the home run, then got Verdugo to ground out. Like, they could have easily gotten ran out of the game, and they didn't do it. Like, the team is going to keep hanging around, and even if they go out sad on Thursday, it still doesn't change anything that they belong here. And despite being there was a point in the broadcast from, it might have been Costas who was talking about it. I don't know if it was him or his broadcast partner, but about how you're not getting 100-plus win teams that dominate big league ball this year. You're getting the teams that are close together where you get into October and you don't know what could happen. And I think that this series is kind of a living embodiment of that. Nate, good to see you in
the example in the national league with the Mets beating the Phillies. And by the way, Nate, it was great to meet you earlier in the game or before the game.
Love having Nate in the comments.
Just funny coincidence. I'm walking out of the stairwell where I was down in the press box, and I'm just like, I was just going to go walk around the stadium, and he happens to see me, and we ended up talking for a couple minutes, but it was awesome to see him. I don't know, man. I thought it's one of those where they didn't pitch very well, but they pitched well enough to win the game. And again, it kind of just shows that margin.
I do want to talk about one more thing before we preview tomorrow's game, and part of it's just kind of a key to the game. In general, they have to do better at capitalizing. Now, the huge caveat to that, 6 left on base. New York had 11, 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position. New York went 0 for 6, and they still won because they have Giancarlo, who can drive people in with a double going around the bases. He can have the home run. They can afford to, I think, when you have guys like Soto, you have guys like Stanton, when Judge isn't performing, you can kind of afford to have that margin for error. The Royals don't have that right now because Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez were combined 2 for 10. Bobby Witt did get on base with a walk, and then he had the hit in the 9th inning. They need to have their star-level players show up. And Pasquantino, I kind of want to give him a little bit of a pass because I still don't know how the heck he's playing, let alone being remotely effective or getting good hacks with the apparatus he has on his hand and his thumb.
Yeah.
But man, you have to have more vintage Salvador Perez moments. You have to have more superstar Bobby Witt Jr. MVP runner-up moments. If you want any chance of not just getting past this series, but having like a sustained playoff run beyond that, and you can win in a lot of different ways. There's tons of ways to skin a cat, so to speak, but they need just flatly their best players to play like their best players right now.
Yeah, and I thought Bobby looked better tonight than he did in Game 2. I said he drove the ball really well in his first at-bat. It just, it got caught on the warning track. And then he worked the walk. That was a really good at-bat against Clay Holmes because Clay Holmes got him in Game 2 to dive at those, 97-mile, just bowling balls that he throws. Didn't chase a single one of them and gets on to, to fight another day and keep the inning going. And then he gets the hit in the 8th off of Luke Weaver, who got him in Game 1. I felt like, okay, they're going to be able to kind of figure this out. And I think Bobby is too good to slump for as long as he did. I think the hit, sometimes though, just seeing the one hit kind of
just need one.
It opens the floodgates a little bit. You see the ball a little bit better. And I thought, maybe we're having a different conversation about Vinny if Volpe doesn't make a crazy play on that sinking liner.
Yep.
Salvi, it kind of is what it is. You're going to have to take the good with the bad with him, given that
and they had the good last game.
And they had the good last game, and he got a knock in a big spot in the 8th. So it's not like it was all bad. But just, he didn't come through, beyond that. I thought Yuli still has been a really solid addition to this team.
God,
He really hit a
outside of
home
that
run the
error,
first
and
inning.
it didn't cost
And
him.
the
So it
error was
okay.
weird. It didn't cost him, so I'm kind of brushing that one off. Like that was just a weird situation. I think there's still the pieces in place to be good enough to get you to a game 5. But they have to put it all together. Like it has to be the best baseball game that they have played all year. Otherwise, they're going to be going home and watching the rest of the playoffs from the couch while their AL Central counterpart, one of, is going to be playing the Yankees in that. And now they got to kind of look at it from that perspective of it's more competition for them for next year because one of their rivals will be either in the World Series or they finish a step short, and that division gets even more competitive.
Yep. Let's talk about Thursday's game. We're going to do another live show, guys, after the conclusion of that. Good or bad, Michael Wacha and Garrett Cole. Wacha, 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts in game 1. Cole had 5 innings, 7 hits, 4 earned. 4 runs, 3 earned, a couple walks, and 4 strikeouts. Man, they hit the crap out of Cole in game 1. And on one hand, that's the key, I think, to repeating in game 4, but also I'd almost lean they have to find a different route because I'm not sure he's going to have back-to-back starts that bad, and that's kind of where my thoughts begin. They're going to need Wacha to shove, and they're going to need to find a way to get 80% of what they did to Cole in game 1.
Yeah, and I think Wacha is going to be able to bounce back. I still thought he pitched relatively fine.
Yeah, he had a fine,
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I thought he did well out there, and now coming back home, he pitched really well in this ballpark for the most part this year. I think they had a beat on Cole, whatever it was.
It was rough.
I don't think he was tipping. I'd have to go back and look, but it kind of felt like that type of vibe because every ball they were hitting was hard.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe they got that, and you're going to get a desperate Kauffman Stadium crowd, at least in the first couple innings, trying to will this team to get a couple of runs across early, so they can try and get this thing back to New York. I do think the Royals win tomorrow. I'll leave a prediction there. I think it's going to be a close game again. Every game in this series has been. Every game in this postseason has been. But I don't think this team is going to go quietly. I don't see that. I think they're going to get it back to New York for a game 5, and we'll see where it goes. But tomorrow is, if I want to leave another prediction out there, tomorrow is going to be the Bobby Wood Jr. game. I think this, getting the one hit, getting off the schneid after one of the worst 2-game slumps he's had, all season, for him to come through in the spot, I think is going to be huge, and I think he will. I think he's too good to not have one of these moments in the playoffs.
I think also the one silver lining from using, some guys out of the bullpen and mixing and matching and all that good stuff is you did save Lucas Erceg. You gave him a night off and kept him in the dugout, and you don't have to use him. So if you're emptying the tank in game 4, as you should be, because it's a must-win game, it's do or die.
And you do get an off day, so even if you have to go 2 innings with Erceg, he would still have at least a day to recover before maybe needing to go in game 5.
Yeah, so I think it's totally doable. Both teams 9 hits in game 1. The Royals had 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. The Yankees had 8 walks, the infamous 8, 11 Ks. Torres 1 for 3 with the home runs. Soto 3 for 5. Verdugo 2 for 3. Then for Kansas City, Michael Massey had a couple hits. Melendez went 2 for 4, and then Witt, Pasquantino, and Perez combined 1 for 14. I would lean that does not happen in game 4. I think that you're going to get I just don't see this team going out sad. You're going to get good versions of everyone. Now the question is that going to be good enough, assuming the Yankees show up, because they kind of have had some duds too, and now you're kind of hoping that your good is better than their good, and that's the battle that they might find themselves in.
Yep, I agree. It'll be a good one, and I guess it'll be interesting to see the perspective of if the Royals do lose this game, how people feel. I've kind of reached a point of acceptance, and I'm I don't think I'll be upset after game 4 or game 5, whatever the Royal season ends. I don't think it's possible for me to be upset because they've overachieved. They've given playoff baseball back to the city, and they've kind of set the stage for future years beyond 2024. So I think it's a success no matter what. but we'll see. I feel pretty good about what they're going to be able to do tomorrow. And then, winner take all game, who knows?
Gotta love it, man. This is what we live for. This is the best part of the year. Joel, massive thank you for going live with me from the K. Nick, thank you behind the scenes for producing, and thank you to everyone who jumped in the YouTube live chat. We always appreciate that. Can't thank you guys enough, whether it's that or the KCSN hotline, Apple, Spotify, however you're tuning in. We're going to run this thing back on Thursday night following Game 4. So until then, take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you next time.